Before I begin, I want to ask you something that may feel uncomfortable. When was the last time you truly listened to your inner voice without fear, without comparison, without the pressure of becoming someone else's definition of success? You live in a world where noise is constant, where opinions are loud and purpose, and where speed is often mistaken for progress. Many of you believe that greatness belongs only to those who start early, who come from privilege, or who never fail. I want you to pause with me for a moment and question that belief, because it quietly steals your confidence before life even tests you. You may think that failure is a sign to stop, that confusion means you are weak, or that coming from a small place limits how far you can go. I have met thousands of young minds who carry this silent burden, smiling outside but doubting themselves within. Today, I am not here to impress you with achievements or positions. I am here to speak to you as a teacher speaks to students on the last day of class, knowing that the most important lesson must now be passed from heart to heart. When I stood before young students for the last time at IIM Shillong, my intention was simple. I wanted to leave behind not a memory of a man, but a way of thinking. By the time you reach the end of this message, I want you to feel lighter, stronger, and clearer. I want you to understand that your background does not decide your future, your failures do not define your worth, and your discipline can quietly build a destiny that even you cannot yet imagine. I speak to you as someone who has walked with doubt, struggled with limitation, and learned that the purpose of education is not comfort, but courage. I was born in Rameswaram, a small coastal town, where the horizon was filled with the sea and the sky, not with opportunities. My family was simple, disciplined, and deeply rooted in values. We did not have wealth, but we had dignity. As a child, I learned early that respect is earned through character, not possessions. I watched my father live with integrity and faith, teaching me that silence, when combined with honesty, carries its own power. Those early years shaped my belief that greatness can grow quietly, even in places the world rarely notices. There was a time when I sold newspapers to support my family. I was not ashamed of that phase because it taught me self-reliance and humility. Every morning before the town fully woke up, I carried bundles of newspapers, feeling the weight not as a burden but as responsibility. I learned that work done sincerely, no matter how small it appears, builds inner strength. Many of you feel embarrassed about your struggles, your financial limits, or your side jobs. I want you to know that these experiences are not obstacles. They are training grounds for resilience. As I moved forward in life, education became my companion, not because it promised comfort, but because it demanded discipline. I was not the most brilliant student, but I was consistent. I learned that excellence is not a sudden act, but a habit formed through daily effort. When I entered the world of science and research, I understood that knowledge without purpose is incomplete. Science, to me, was never about personal success. It was about national service and collective growth. One of the most defining moments of my life came in 1979 during the SLV-3 mission at ISRO. As the project director, I carried the responsibility of years of hard work by thousands of scientists. When the countdown began, everything appeared ready. But moments before launch, the computer signaled a problem. Experts analyzed the data and believed the mission could proceed. I took the decision to launch, trusting our calculations. What followed was a failure that the entire nation witnessed. The satellite did not reach orbit. It fell into the sea. Failure has a sound. It is silent, heavy, and deeply personal. In that moment, I felt exhaustion, disappointment, and the weight of accountability. I wondered how to face the nation, my team, and myself. Then my mentor, Satish Dhawan, did something extraordinary. He took me to the press conference and addressed the media himself. He accepted responsibility and shielded his team. He taught me that leadership is not about standing tall during success, but standing firm during failure. The following year, when the mission succeeded, he asked me to lead the press conference. That contrast taught me a lesson no textbook ever could. When failure occurs, a leader absorbs it. When success arrives, a leader gives it away. This philosophy stayed with me throughout my life. I want you to understand this deeply because you will face moments when decisions go wrong. Do not let failure shrink your spirit. Let it refine your judgment. Throughout my journey, simplicity remained my strength. I believed in disciplined living, focused thinking, and purposeful action. I wrote books like Wings of Fire, Ignited Minds, India 2020, and Turning Points, not to narrate my life, but to ignite yours. Each page was written with the hope that a young reader somewhere would realize that dreams are not luxuries. Dreams are duties. They demand effort, sacrifice, and patience. Many of you worry that you are average, that your marks are not exceptional, or that your talents are unnoticed. Let me tell you something important. Being average is not a life sentence. It is a starting point. What matters is not where you begin, but how honestly you commit to growth. Fear of failure often disguises itself as comfort. It tells you to settle, to delay, to wait. But growth listens only to courage. You may come from a small town, a modest family, or a background that society does not celebrate. I came from such a place too. Your roots do not limit your reach. In fact, they strengthen it. A confusion about your future does not mean you are lost. It means you are standing at the edge of possibility. Do not rush. Clarity, earn it through exploration, learning, and service. As you move forward, I want you to remember a few practical truths that can guide your daily life. Begin each day with a clear intention, not a comparison with others. Treat failure as feedback, not as a verdict on your ability. Build discipline through small, repeatable habits rather than sudden motivation. Respect time, because it is the one resource that never returns. Choose mentors, books, and ideas that challenge your comfort, not just support your opinions. Serve something larger than yourself, because purpose multiplies energy. There will be days when you feel tired, unseen, or unsure. On those days, remember that even the strongest rockets experience turbulence before finding their path. Your responsibility is not to avoid struggle, but to move forward with integrity during it. The future of this nation does not depend on a few extraordinary individuals. It depends on millions of ordinary young people choosing to act with responsibility. When I spoke to students at IIM Shillong for the last time, I was doing what I loved most, teaching. I did not plan for it to be my final lecture. I believed that as long as I was speaking to young minds, my work was unfinished. If my journey ended while sharing knowledge, I consider that a blessing. A teacher's life finds meaning not in longevity, but in legacy. India's future is not written in policies alone. It is written in classrooms, hostels, libraries, and quiet study rooms where young minds wrestle with doubt and determination. I see you not as followers, but as torchbearers. You are responsible for transforming challenges into opportunities and ideas into action. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Create progress with what you have. As I leave you with these thoughts, remember that your life is not meant to be a copy of anyone else's. It is meant to be a contribution. Walk your path with humility, work with excellence, and dream with courage. If this message resonated with you, share with another student who needs encouragement. Let knowledge travel further than any individual ever could. I want to return once more to your inner world, because everything meaningful begins there. Long after lectures end, exams finish, and degrees are framed on walls, what will remain is the conversation you have with yourself in silence. That conversation decides whether you rise after falling, whether you stay honest when shortcuts appear, and whether you continue learning when applause fades. I want you to train that inner voice to be calm, courageous, and truthful, because that voice will guide you when no mentor is physically present. There is a moment in every young person's life when reality collides with expectation. You may have imagined life to be fair, quick to reward effort, and clear in direction. Instead, you encounter delay, rejection, and uncertainty. Please understand this gently. Life is not testing you to break you. It is testing you to prepare you. Just as a spacecraft must endure intense pressure before it escapes gravity, you too must experience resistance before discovering your strength. When you feel overwhelmed, do not ask why this is happening to you. Ask what this moment is teaching you. Every difficulty carries hidden instruction. Sometimes it teaches patience. Sometimes it teaches humility. Sometimes it teaches courage. Education is not only what happens in classrooms. Education happens when you face responsibility, when you choose effort over excuse, and when you stand by your values, even when no one is watching. I often spoke about dreams, not as fantasies, but as commitments. A dream is not what you see while sleeping. It is what does not let you sleep. If your dream does not disturb your comfort, it is not yet strong enough. But remember, dreaming alone is insufficient. Dreams must be supported by discipline, knowledge, and perseverance. Without action, even the most beautiful dream remains a wish. You live in an age of speed, where information is instant and comparisons are endless. Be careful not to confuse movement with progress. Scrolling is not learning. Busyness is not productivity. Silence, reflection, and deep work are becoming rare, but they are more valuable than ever. Protect your ability to focus. Protect your curiosity. Protect your moral compass. These are the quiet tools that build extraordinary lives. I want to speak directly to those of you who feel invisible, who believe your efforts go unnoticed. The universe does not ignore sincere work. It may delay recognition, but it never forgets dedication. Many of my own efforts went unseen for years. What sustained me was not applause, but purpose. Purpose gives energy even when results are delayed. When you work for something larger than personal gain, fatigue becomes meaningful. At this stage of your life, you may be chasing clarity about your career, your identity, or your place in the world. Let me reassure you, clarity is not found in a single moment. It is built gradually through choices. Choose to learn something new every day. Choose to improve a little every week. Choose integrity even when compromise looks attractive. Over time, these choices will form a direction that feels unmistakably yours. There is something deeply important I want you to understand about your nation and your role within it. A country does not become strong through slogans or speeches. It becomes strong when its young people accept responsibility. Responsibility for learning honestly. Responsibility for working sincerely. Responsibility for thinking ethically. If each of you commits to excellence in your chosen field, India's future will rise naturally. You do not need to be famous to be valuable. You do not need authority to create impact. Influence begins where you are. In your classroom, your family, your workplace, your community. When you choose discipline over distraction, you influence others. When you choose honesty over convenience, you influence others. Leadership is not a position. It is behavior repeated consistently. As I spoke to students until my final moments, my belief remained unchanged. Young minds are the most powerful resource on this planet. If guided with values and vision, they can solve problems that today seem impossible. I trust you with that responsibility. I trust your intelligence, your compassion, and your potential. If you ever feel afraid of failing, remember this. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a component of it. What matters is not how many times you fall, but whether you learn and rise with greater wisdom. Carry your failures lightly, your lessons deeply, and your dreams bravely. As you move forward from this moment, walk with humility, think with clarity, and act with courage. Let your life be a message of effort, learning, and service. If these words brought you strength or direction, pass them forward. Let this message reach another student who may be struggling in silence. Together, through shared wisdom and sincere effort, you can build a future worthy of your dreams. I want you to understand something very quietly and very clearly. Your life will not be shaped by one grand decision, but by thousands of small ones you make when no one is watching. The choice to wake up on time, the decision to revise instead of scrolling, the courage to ask a question, even when you fear sounding foolish, the discipline to keep going when motivation disappears. These moments do not look heroic, but they are the bricks with which destiny is built. Many young people wait for confidence before they act. That is a misunderstanding. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action. Confidence is the result of action taken repeatedly despite fear. When I first stepped into laboratories, into leadership roles, in responsibilities larger than my comfort, I did not feel fearless. I felt prepared enough to try. Preparation is quieter than confidence, but far more reliable. Prepare your mind, your skills, and your character, and confidence will follow naturally. There will be moments when society tries to label you early. Average student, slow learner, not practical, not leadership material. These labels are convenient for others, but dangerous for you if you accept them. Never let a temporary description become a permanent identity. Human potential is not fixed. It expands with effort, guidance, and time. I have seen students transform completely when they stopped arguing with their limitations and started working on them. I want to talk to you about loneliness, because it is something many of you feel but rarely speak about. The path of growth can feel lonely because discipline separates you from distractions. Purpose separates you from crowds. Vision separates you from noise. Do not fear this solitude. Use it. In quiet moments, you discover who you truly are and what you truly want to contribute. Solitude is not emptiness. It is preparation. In your journey, you will meet people who doubt you, discourage you, or misunderstand your intentions. Some of them may even be close to you. Do not waste energy trying to convince anyone. Let your work speak. Let time answer. Persistence is the most respectful response to doubt. When results appear, explanations become unnecessary. You may ask yourself how to remain calm in a world that feels uncertain and demanding. The answer lies in aligning your actions with your values. When what you do matches what you believe, inner peace follows naturally. When there is a gap between values and actions, anxiety grows. Be honest with yourself. Self-discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action. As a nation, we often speak about change, but change does not begin in large announcements. It begins in individual commitment. If you want a corruption-free society, practice honesty in small things. If you want innovation, cultivate curiosity and patience. If you want harmony, begin with respect in daily interactions. National character is built from individual character repeated millions of times. I want you to imagine the future not as something that happens to you, but as something that responds to you. The future listens to preparation. It listens to effort. It listens to courage. It does not respond to excuses. You are not powerless spectators. You are active participants in shaping what comes next. Even when circumstances feel beyond your control, your response remains your responsibility. In moments of exhaustion, remember why you started. In moments of confusion, return to learning. In moments of fear, choose action over avoidance. Progress is rarely dramatic. It is usually quiet, steady, and almost invisible until one day you look back and realize how far you have come. I lived my life believing that knowledge should serve humanity, that success should remain humble, and that leadership should remain compassionate. These beliefs were not formed overnight. They were refined through mistakes, mentors, and moments of reflection. You too will refine your philosophy through living. Do not rush becoming. Allow yourself to grow with patience and sincerity. As I leave you with these final thoughts, I want you to carry one simple idea with you. You are needed. Your effort matters. Your growth contributes to something larger than personal success. Wherever you are, whatever you study, whatever challenge you face, give your best with honesty and perseverance. If these words gave you clarity, courage, or calm, share them with another young mind. Let this message travel further than any individual ever could. And remember, the true measure of education is not what you earn, but what you become and what you give back to the world. Before I conclude this journey with you, I want to sit with you in one final silence, the kind of silence where truth becomes audible. Life will not always ask for your opinion. Sometimes it will simply place a situation before you and wait for your response. In those moments, your response will reveal who you have become. Not what you intended to become, not what you claim to believe, but what your habits, values, and discipline have shaped within you. You will face crossroads where the easier path looks tempting and the right path looks lonely. Choose the right path, even when it feels slow. Speed without direction only leads to exhaustion. Direction with patience leads to fulfillment. You do not need to rush your life to prove your worth. Let your progress be steady, honest, and meaningful. Great achievements mature quietly before they are visible. I want you to remember that intelligence alone does not build a great life. Character does. Skills alone do not build a great nation. Values do. If you sharpen your mind but neglect your integrity, success will feel empty. But if you cultivate integrity alongside competence, even small successes will feel deeply satisfying. Never separate who you are becoming from what you are achieving. As students and young citizens, you carry a responsibility that goes beyond exams and careers. You carry the responsibility of setting a standard of sincerity, of effort, of ethical thinking. When one young person chooses excellence, it inspires another. When one chooses honesty, it quietly challenges dishonesty. This is how change spreads, not through force, but through example. I want you to be patient with yourself. Growth is not linear. Some days you will feel confident, other days uncertain. Both are part of learning. Do not measure your life only by milestones. Measure it by the quality of your effort during ordinary days. Ordinary days, lived well, create extraordinary lives. When my journey came to its final moment, while speaking to students, it did not feel like an ending to me. It felt like continuity, because ideas do not end when a voice becomes silent. Values do not disappear when a body rests. If even one young person carries forward the message of discipline, learning, and service, the work continues. I want you to carry forward not my name, but my belief in you. I believe that you can rise above fear. I believe that you can transform limitations into strength. I believe that you can build a future guided by knowledge and compassion. Do not underestimate the power of steady effort combined with a clear conscience. As you step back into your life after listening to this message, do not feel pressure to change everything at once. Begin with one sincere step, one disciplined habit, one honest decision, one act of service. Let momentum grow naturally. Let your confidence be built through action, not words. If you feel this message brought light to your thinking or calm to your heart, let it reach others who may be walking with doubt. Share it not for popularity, but for purpose. And if you choose to stay connected, do so as a learner, not a follower. Continue questioning, continue growing, continue serving. Remember this always. Your future is not a mystery waiting to be solved. It is a responsibility waiting to be fulfilled. Walk forward with courage, humility, and faith in your ability to learn. That is how a meaningful life is built, quietly, steadily, and with dignity. Let me leave you with a final understanding that I wish someone had told every young mind at the beginning of their journey. You do not need to have everything figured out to move forward. You only need the honesty to admit where you are and the courage to take the next right step. Life reveals itself to those who walk, not to those who wait perfectly prepared. Start where you are. Use what you have. Learn what you lack. There will be moments when you feel behind others, when social media and society convince you that you are late, slow, or falling short. Do not measure your progress with someone else's clock. Each life unfolds in its own rhythm. Some flowers bloom early, some later, but each has its season. Focus on depth, not speed. Depth builds roots, and roots support growth that lasts. I want you to remember that learning does not end with a degree, a job, or a title. The moment you stop learning, you stop growing. Read widely, listen carefully, observe deeply. Let curiosity remain alive within you. Curiosity is the fuel of innovation and the foundation of wisdom. A curious mind remains young even as years pass. As you step into responsibility, you may discover that the world is imperfect. Systems are flawed, and people sometimes disappoint you. Do not let this harden your heart. Instead, let it strengthen your resolve to be better than what you criticize. Change does not require perfection. It requires participation. Become part of the solution through your conduct, your work, and your contribution. I have always believed that spirituality and science, faith and reason are not opposites. They are partners when guided by sincerity. Whatever belief system you follow, let it make you more humane, more disciplined, and more compassionate. True strength is gentle. True confidence is quiet. True wisdom listens more than it speaks. When you face success, remain grounded. When you face failure, remain hopeful. Both are temporary. What stays is your character. Guard it carefully. Reputation is what people think of you. Character is what you are when no one is watching. Build your life on character, and reputation will follow naturally. I want you to imagine a future where your knowledge solves real problems, where your work uplifts others, and where your success creates opportunities beyond yourself. This is not an unrealistic dream. It is a practical vision built through discipline, collaboration, and service. The world does not need more loud voices. It needs thoughtful minds and compassionate hearts. As I close this message, I do so not with finality, but with faith. Faith in your ability to learn. Faith in your courage to grow. Faith in your willingness to serve something larger than personal comfort. Carry that faith with you into your studies, your work, and your relationships. If this message brought you strength, clarity, or hope, pass it on to another student who may be struggling silently. Let this wisdom travel from mind to mind, heart to heart. And if you choose to stay connected, do so as a lifelong learner. Continue listening, continue questioning, continue becoming. Remember, the purpose of life is not merely to succeed, but to be useful. Walk forward with humility, discipline, and courage. Your journey matters, and the future is quietly waiting for your contribution. Before we part, I want you to carry one final reflection into your life, some gentle yet firm enough to guide you when everything feels uncertain. You are not here by accident. Your presence in this moment, your ability to think, to question, to learn, and to choose is already a responsibility entrusted to you. Life did not ask you to be perfect. It asked you to be sincere. There will be times when you look back and wish you had acted sooner, spoken braver, or believed deeper. Do not let regret become your teacher. Let awareness do that work now. Every day gives you another opportunity to align your actions with your values. That alignment, practiced consistently, creates a quiet confidence that no external approval can replace. When the world feels heavy, return to fundamentals, honest effort, respect for others, continuous learning. These principles never become outdated. Technologies will change, careers will evolve, and challenges will transform. But these fundamentals will remain your strongest support. They will steady you when trends confuse you and opinions distract you. If ever you feel small in the face of big problems, remember this. History is shaped not by people who felt ready, but by people who felt responsible. Responsibility awakens courage. Courage invites growth. Growth creates impact. You do not need permission to be responsible. You only need commitment. As you grow older, success may visit you in different forms. Titles, recognition, comfort, or influence. Welcome success with gratitude, but never let it replace humility. Humility keeps learning alive. Humility keeps compassion active. Humility keeps you connected to the very people your success should serve. I want you to live a life where at the end of each day you can say quietly to yourself, I tried sincerely. That sentence has power. It builds self-respect. It builds peace. Over time, it builds a life you will not need to escape from. My journey ended while I was sharing knowledge, but your journey continues from here. Take what is useful from these words and apply it in your own way. Let your life become the continuation of the lesson. Let your actions speak where words fall short. If you believe this message can guide another student who feels lost, share it with them. If you wish to continue learning together, stay connected with this space as a learner, not as a follower. Learning never ends and growth never truly stops. Walk forward with faith in effort, respect for knowledge, and compassion for humanity. Build your future not in haste, but with purpose. And remember always, the greatest achievement is not what you accumulate, but the positive difference you make through your thoughts, your work, and your character. Stay with me for a little longer, because endings are not meant to rush. The most meaningful lessons often arrive when the voice softens and the mind becomes still. At this point in your life, you may feel pressure to define yourself quickly. Society asks you who you are, what you do, where you are going. It can feel overwhelming. Let me ease that pressure for you. You are not required to finalize your identity at a young age. You are required only to remain honest while discovering it. There is a quiet danger I have seen in many intelligent young people. It is not laziness, and it is not lack of talent. It is the habit of postponing effort while waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect plan, or the perfect opportunity. Perfection rarely arrives. Life rewards those who act with sincerity in imperfect conditions. Begin before you feel ready. Improve while moving. Learn while doing. Momentum is created through action, not intention. I want you to think about how you treat your time. Time is not just hours and minutes. Time is your life in motion. When you waste time, you are not wasting something external. You are wasting yourself. Respect your time by investing it in learning, skill building, reflection, and service. Even leisure has value when it refreshes your mind, but excess distraction quietly steals your future. You may sometimes feel that your efforts are insignificant compared to the scale of the world's problem. This thought can make you feel powerless. Do not let it. Every meaningful change in history began with individuals who chose to act responsibly within their limited reach. You may not change the world today, but you can change how you study, how you work, how you treat people. These small changes create ripples that travel further than you imagine as you grow. You will face moral choices that are not clearly labeled right or wrong. They may involve compromise, convenience, or personal gain. In those moments, pause and ask yourself a simple question. Will this choice make me respect myself more or less tomorrow morning? Self-respect is the most reliable guide when logic feels divided. I also want to remind you that asking for help is not weakness. It is wisdom. No journey worth taking is meant to be walked alone. Seek guidance from teachers, mentors, books, and experiences. Learn from those who have walked before you, but never surrender your ability to think independently. Balance humility with discernment. As the years pass, you will realize that success does not silence all problems. It only changes their nature. That is why inner stability matters more than external achievement. Inner stability comes from knowing your values, honoring your commitment, and staying connected to a purpose beyond self-interest. When these are strong, external changes cannot shake you easily. I want you to develop a relationship with failure that is healthy and mature. Do not romanticize it, but do not fear it either. Failure is information. It tells you what did not work, what needs improvement, and where your preparation was insufficient. Accept the information, adjust your approach, and move forward without carrying shame. Shame blocks learning. Responsibility unlocks it. At some point, you will realize that life is not asking you to compete with everyone. It is asking you to contribute something meaningful. Contribution brings a deeper satisfaction than competition ever can. When your work adds value to others, motivation becomes sustainable. Purpose replaces pressure. As I spoke to students throughout my life, my faith remained steady. Faith not in miracles, but in human potential, guided by discipline and values. I have seen ordinary students become extraordinary contributors when they committed themselves fully to learning and service. You are capable of the same transformation. Now, as you return to your own path, carry this understanding gently. Your journey does not need to be loud to be significant. It needs to be honest. Let your growth be steady. Let your character be firm. Let your curiosity remain alive. And let your actions reflect the future you wish to see. If these words stayed with you, let them travel further. Share them with another student, another young mind, another seeker. Knowledge grows when it is shared. Wisdom grows when it is practiced. Walk forward calmly. Work sincerely. Learn continuously. Serve selflessly. And trust that a life lived with these principles will always find its meaning even when the path ahead is not fully visible. I want you to notice how quietly life teaches. Its deepest lessons, they rarely arrive with announcements. They come disguised as routine, delay, or disappointment. A missed opportunity, a failed attempt, a moment of rejection. If you are attentive, each of these moments carries guidance. If you rush past them in frustration, the lesson repeats, often with greater intensity. Learning to pause, reflect, and extract meaning from experience is a skill that separates wisdom from mere information. There will be phases when effort feels heavy and results feel distant. During such times, you may question whether your hard work is worth it. Let me assure you, effort is never wasted when it is sincere. Even when outcomes do not immediately reflect your input, your inner capacity is expanding. You are becoming more capable, more resilient, more prepared. Results catch up later. Growth happens first inside. I want to speak gently to those of you who feel pressure from expectations, from family, society, or even from your own ambitions. Pressure is not always harmful, but unmanaged pressure can cloud judgment. Learn to distinguish between healthy responsibility and unnecessary stress. Responsibility motivates action. Stress paralyzes it. Simplify your goals when you feel overwhelmed. Focus on doing the next right thing well. Clarity often returns through action. You may find yourself surrounded by opinions about what success should look like. High salary, quick recognition, constant validation. These are external markers. They fluctuate and fade. Inner fulfillment comes from alignment. Alignment between your skills and your work. Alignment between your values and your choices. Alignment between your intentions and your actions. When alignment exists, even hard work feels meaningful. As you move through life, you will notice that knowledge alone does not guarantee wisdom. Wisdom grows when knowledge is applied with empathy and responsibility. Whatever you study, ask yourself how it can serve others. Service gives direction to talent. Without service, talent often turns inward and becomes restless. I want you to cultivate patience, not as passivity, but as strength. Patience allows you to endure discomfort without losing direction. It helps you stay committed during slow progress. It protects you from making impulsive decisions driven by fear or comparison. In science, in learning, and in life, patience multiplies precision. One day, you will look back and realize that the moments you once feared shaped you the most. The failures that humbled you, the struggles that disciplined you, the responsibilities that matured you. This realization does not come immediately. It comes through lived experience. Trust the process, even when it feels unclear. I also want you to remember the importance of gratitude. Gratitude grounds you. It reminds you of what is already present, even as you work toward what is next. Gratitude does not reduce ambition. It refines it. When you are grateful, your ambition becomes healthier, less desperate, more focused on contribution rather than comparison. As a young person, you possess energy, curiosity, and adaptability. Do not underestimate these qualities. Use your energy to work sincerely. Use your curiosity to learn deeply. Use your adaptability to grow through change rather than resist it. These qualities, when guided by values, become powerful forces for progress. If at any point you feel lost, return to learning. Learning realigns you. It gives you perspective. It reminds you that growth is always possible. Read, observe, ask questions, experiment. Learning keeps your mind flexible and your spirit hopeful. I want you to build a relationship with discipline that feels supportive, not harsh. Discipline is not about denying joy. It is about choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. When discipline becomes a habit, it frees you from constant decision fatigue. It creates structure that supports creativity and calm. As I share these reflections, my intention is not to burden you with expectations, but to free you from fear. Fear of being inadequate. Fear of starting late. Fear of making mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning. Starting late is better than never starting. Inadequacy fades with effort. Your life will not be perfect. It does not need to be. It needs to be purposeful. Purpose gives meaning to imperfections. Purpose transforms effort into contribution. Carry these thoughts with you as companions, not commands. Adapt them to your context, your challenges, your aspirations. Let them guide, not constrain. And remember, growth is not a destination you reach. It is a direction you choose again and again through small, sincere actions. If you find strength in these words, let them strengthen someone else. Shared wisdom multiplies impact. And as you continue your journey, remain open, disciplined, and compassionate. These qualities will serve you well, no matter where life leads you next. Let me bring this journey to a gentle close, not as an ending, but as a quiet hand placed on your shoulder, reminding you that you are capable of far more than you currently believe. Life will continue to test you, not because it doubts you, but because it is preparing you for responsibilities you have not yet imagined. When challenges appear, do not ask whether you are strong enough. Ask whether you are willing to learn, adapt, and persist. Willingness, sustained over time, becomes strength. As you step forward, remember that courage is not loud. It is often a silent decision made in ordinary moments. The decision to keep studying when no one is checking. The decision to be honest when dishonesty would be easier. The decision to keep hope alive when progress feels slow. These quiet decisions shape your character long before the world notices your achievements. I want you to treat your mind with respect. Feed it with meaningful ideas, thoughtful conversations, and disciplined study. Protect it from constant negativity and distraction. A focused mind is a powerful instrument. When you learn to direct your attention intentionally, you gain control over one of the most valuable resources you possess. Attention determines what grows in your life. You will meet success and failure many times in different forms. Do not become attached to either. Learn from both. Success should teach you gratitude and responsibility. Failure should teach you humility and improvement. When you maintain balance, neither success inflates you nor failure diminishes you. Balance allows you to continue growing with clarity. As a young person, your greatest asset is not talent alone, but time combined with effort. Use this time wisely. Invest it in skills that matter, values that endure, and relationships built on respect. Shortcuts may promise quick rewards, but they often cost long-term fulfillment. Choose paths that allow you to grow without losing yourself. I want you to remember that service gives meaning to success. When your abilities contribute to the well-being of others, work transforms into purpose. Purpose sustains you when motivation fades. Purpose reminds you why your effort matters beyond personal gain. Even small acts of service, done consistently, create a life that feels worthwhile. As my life's journey concluded while sharing knowledge with students, my belief remained unchanged. Education is the most powerful tool for transformation when it is guided by values. Knowledge without values can mislead. Values without knowledge can limit. Together, they create wisdom. Let wisdom be your long-term goal. Now, as you return to your own world of studies, responsibilities, and dreams, carry these reflections lightly but sincerely. Do not feel pressured to remember everything. What matters is what you practice. One habit improved, one fear faced, one responsibility accepted. These are enough to begin meaningful change. If this message brought clarity to your thoughts or strength to your heart, share it with another student who may be searching for direction. Let this wisdom travel beyond one screen, one moment, one listener. And if you choose to stay connected, do so as a learner who values growth and reflection. Walk forward calmly, work diligently, learn continuously, serve selflessly. Trust that a life built on these principles will find its way, even when the path ahead is not fully visible. Your journey matters. Your effort matters. And the future is waiting, not for perfection, but for sincere participation from minds like yours. I will offer you one last stream of thought, not to add weight, but to settle everything that has been said into a single inner resolve. When you step away from this message and return to your daily life, nothing dramatic may change on the surface. The same books will be there, the same routines, the same struggles, the same unanswered questions. But if you allow it, something subtle can change within you. The way you look at effort, the way you respond to difficulty, the way you speak to yourself when things do not go as planned. Life will test your patience more than your intelligence. It will test your consistency more than your talent. On days when you feel ordinary, remember that consistency is never ordinary. It is rare. On days when you feel tired, remember that fatigue often appears just before growth. Do not abandon your path simply because it feels uncomfortable. Comfort is not the goal. Meaning is, you do not need to carry the burden of becoming great. You only need to carry the responsibility of becoming better than you were yesterday. Improvement compounds quietly. One page read, one concept understood, one honest effort repeated. Over time, these small acts create a transformation that feels sudden only in hindsight. As you continue your journey, keep your heart soft and your standards high. Be kind, but do not be careless with your values. Be ambitious, but do not be arrogant. Be confident, but remain curious. Balance is not weakness. Balance is maturity. I trusted young minds until my last breath, because I saw what you are capable of when guided by purpose. I saw how discipline can turn confusion into clarity, and how learning can turn limitation into strength. That trust now rests with you. Carry it forward through your actions. And now, I leave you where all meaningful journeys continue, not with an answer, but with a responsibility to learn sincerely, to work honestly, to live usefully. If you do this, your life will speak louder than any speech ever could. I want to slow everything down now, because wisdom settles best when the mind is calm. Think of this moment not as listening to a speech, but as sitting beside someone who has walked a long road and is gently sharing what truly mattered in the end. When all titles fade, when applause disappears, and when life becomes quiet, what remains is the quality of your intentions and the sincerity of your effort. You will eventually discover that life rewards depth more than speed. The world may celebrate quick results, but lasting fulfillment comes from doing things thoroughly and honestly. When you study, study deeply. When you work, work sincerely. When you commit, commit fully. Half-hearted effort creates half-lived lives. Full effort, even in small roles, creates inner dignity. There will be seasons when you must work without recognition, when your contribution feels unnoticed. These seasons are not punishments, they are preparation. They teach you how to rely on your own standards rather than external validation. When recognition finally comes, you will be grounded enough to handle it. And if it never comes, you will still have self-respect, which is far more valuable. I want you to build a relationship with effort that is not dependent on mood. Motivation rises and falls, but discipline remains available every day. On days when you feel inspired, work with joy. On days when you feel uninspired, work with commitment. Progress does not wait for perfect emotions. It responds to steady action. As you grow older, you will realize that clarity often comes after action, not before it. Many young people wait to feel confident before taking responsibility. In reality, responsibility creates confidence. Accept small responsibilities willingly. Do them well. Let them expand naturally. This is how leadership is formed, quietly, without announcements. You will meet moments of disappointment. Plans will fail. People will misunderstand you. Outcomes will differ from expectations. Do not let these moments harden you. Let them educate you. A hardened heart loses sensitivity. A learning heart gains wisdom. Stay open even when it is difficult. Openness allows growth to continue. I want you to remember that your worth is not measured by comparison. Comparison steals joy and distorts self-perception. There will always be someone ahead of you and someone behind you. Focus instead on alignment. Are you learning honestly? Are you working sincerely? Are you growing steadily? These questions matter more than rankings. As a young person, you carry an invisible influence. Younger minds observe you. Peers are affected by your behavior. Even elders notice your sincerity. Influence does not require authority. It requires consistency. When your actions match your values, people trust you without you asking for it. I believe deeply that education must create thinkers, not followers. Question respectfully. Think independently. Accept guidance, but do not abandon your reasoning. Blind acceptance weakens intelligence. Arrogant rejection weakens wisdom. Balance both through thoughtful inquiry. At the end of the day, when you return to your room and the world becomes quiet, ask yourself one simple question. Did I act today in a way that moves me closer to the person I want to become? If the answer is yes, sleep peacefully. If the answer is no, forgive yourself and correct your course tomorrow. Growth is not about guilt. It is about adjustment. Now, I will truly step back and allow you to step forward. Carry these thoughts not as instructions, but as companions. Let them walk with you through exams, failures, successes, doubts, and decisions. Over time, you will discover your own voice, your own philosophy, your own way of serving the world. If this message touched you, let it travel beyond you. Share it with someone who needs reassurance, direction, or calm. And if you choose to remain connected, do so with the spirit of a learner. Learning keeps you young. Purpose keeps you strong. Move forward gently, but firmly. With humility in your heart, discipline in your actions, and courage in your choices. That is how meaningful lives are built. And that is how the future quietly takes shape through minds like yours.